Nurture and support. Nurture and support. This is a podcast theme song. And it's really short.
Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Nurture and Support, a recommendation podcast sharing all the awesome since 2013. I'm Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter.
And I'm Mel at Karmic9 on Twitter.
So the lights are flickering in my house. I don't know why.
If he disappears suddenly, folks, we'll know the aliens came.
That's right. So, see, that's the shame about this being audio only is that, if on the off chance when you're not feeling well and might pass on during a show, people aren't going to get to see that live. And it looks like, I might die tonight. and folks, they'll only be able to hear it. But so that was strange. But
well, I can release the video in the instance that something happens to you.
Yeah. Bonus content for our listeners.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, we'll go ahead and get right at it. I'm going to make a recommendation. Shockingly enough, it's going to be a documentary that I'll be recommending this time. I guess additionally shocking, it's fairly recent, 2015.
Wow.
And it's called I Am Your Father. And it's a documentary about David Prowse, who played Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy.
Just not the voice.
Just not the voice, which is kind of some of the point of this. And so it's an interesting show. It's an hour and 21 minutes long, and it's one of these kind of director-dominated documentaries where the guy putting it together is like, oh, I had this idea to do this, or I sought to seek out. And his big thing was he wanted to track down David Prowse because he knew that David Prowse was very frustrated that having played Darth Vader he was already frustrated that he didn't get to use his voice. But David's English, and if you hear him English or Australian? No, I think he's English. But he's from England, and clearly, if you hear him speak, it would be pretty hard to bite Darth Vader with that. Although most of the bad guys in the Empire were played by English folks.
Right.
If you look at that. But for Darth Vader, James Earl Jones was the right voice for Darth Vader. I mean, I think there's obviously no question about that.
It would be hard to convince our generation that he was not the best choice.
Yeah. You can see some nice extra footage like on the Star Wars Blu-ray set and all those types of things where they show the scenes where it's actually David Prowse talking inside the Vader helmet, and it's just not the same. It really isn't. But the guy did a tremendous job, obviously playing. I mean, there's the way Vader moves, the way Vader acts. There's very kind of clear characterization. He did a really good job at that. He was frustrated that his voice wasn't used, but he was particularly frustrated after doing 3 movies as Vader that when the final scene came to reveal his face, they slid in another actor to play Vader at that point. Sebastian Shaw, I believe, was the actor, which they kind of kept a secret from David during the filming because he appeared to be a little finicky on some things or have points. And so that's kind of part of the backstory here is that there is friction between George Lucas and David Prowse, and this documentary kind of covers how that all came about. There were just a couple instances of one where he just took a guess. I'm not going to give specifics because I think you'd kind of enjoy it watching the movie to see. But after the first movie, he began to offer some theories on what he thought might happen next, which were pretty darn close to what started to happen next. He didn't know. They didn't even know at that point if they were going to make a sequel. So Lucas was a little grumpy about that. And then as they were wrapping up Return of the Jedi, there was an interview with David Prowse in a local paper, and it was attributed to him that he said, well, and Darth Vader dies at the end of this episode, which doesn't make the Lucas people very happy at all. And the documentary kind of works through that part too, and there's maybe that played out a little bit differently, and so it's another good thing to kind of see how it goes. But it's really interesting. I didn't know a whole lot about him. He was a weightlifter. He competed in some weightlifting competitions for England in different types of things. He has been, and I wish I could get this sometime, he has been awarded the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, which is, I guess, like a Bill and Ted Award. I don't know, but it's not a knight, but it is a big old medal that the Queen gives you.
Yeah.
And he got that. However, you can get the Most Excellent Award for military activity or safety activity. And the other aspect is he played Green Cross Man, which in England, the crossing areas are called green crosses in terms of where it's safe to cross the pedestrian walkways on streets intersections. And he dressed up as a superhero, Green Cross Man, and would sing songs to children about crossing safely on the streets and all those types of things. And it was that body of work that got him the Most Excellent of the British Empire Award. So,
And this was Darth Vader.
this was Darth. This is pre-Vader.
Man,
But yeah,
with
Darth
balls.
Vader. Yeah. So I'll look and see what we can do for the blog post if I can find one of those commercials. It's worth a look. It's pretty good. A very young David Prowse guiding the children.
Yeah.
He was a weightlifter. He auditioned for Superman, and they kind of said, probably the voice again. I gotta think. They said, no, but how about you train Christopher Reeve? So he actually helped Christopher Reeve get ready to look Superman-esque for the movie. So he was involved with that. And a lot of the Hammer films, so in the 60s and 70s in England, there was the Hammer Film Company in England, and they specialized in a lot of gothic horror type of things, kind of Frankenstein movies and those types. And that's really where he got his start, playing Frankenstein in a couple different movies and different monsters. And that's what eventually, as they started to hire for doing the Star Wars, they were in the market for some big people. They needed to cast Chewbacca, they needed to cast Vader, and so he auditioned for that and got the Vader role. So seems like a really nice guy. A lot of this documentary centers around him becoming kind of persona non grata with Lucasfilm, and this is the one part that's kind of a bit of a criticism of this. I still think this is an enjoyable watch, but the documentary indicates he's never attended a Star Wars celebration ever, and it was all because of all these other types of things. And while it's true, it has been a long time since he's been to a Star Wars celebration. Star Wars celebrations 2, 3, and 4, he did attend, signed autographs. So it's not as if he's never been there,
Yeah.
but it's been a pretty long stretch since he has been there. So they kind of cover some of that. And the director's big goal is to reshoot the scene. What if David Prowse actually was the face behind Darth Vader when they took the mask off? And so you get to kind of see that build up and kind of play out in some interesting ways. So again, don't want to kind of give it all away, because that's the point of watching the show, is to kind of see all those types of things. But it's interesting. You get a little bit of Kenny Baker, a few other folks, and then strangely enough, Lou Ferrigno is probably the most interviewed person in terms of celebrities, the most interviewed person there, and it's because they're kind of playing up this whole, he doesn't go to Star Wars Celebration, so instead he goes to these autograph signings in an empty Target, these kind of smaller type of things. And Lou's usually in the booth across from him, and so doing his thing. So you get to talk, and they're friendly, and Lou's a nice guy, and they kind of talk about each other a little bit. So it's interesting to see. But you get to learn a little bit about the guy, his history, get to hear a little of the drama of David Prowse versus LucasArts, and the director's quest to reshoot the final scene.
So I have to ask, did he have an opinion on the alteration of the end of Jedi with the 3 ghostly Jedi that got replaced by Hayden Christensen?
He did not weigh in on that.
I wish he would have.
Yeah. So who do you think, Mel, in that scene, who should they just have left it with Sebastian Shaw?
That would have been true to the original. Now, I know I've seen a picture of David Prowse before, but I can't really pull it up in my brain right now. But at the very least, if they weren't going to use the actor who had the most excellent cape flip for Vader, then
Without a doubt.
they should have stuck with at least the original face. But that's my opinion. I'm old school. The prequels didn't happen in my world.
Well, and what I struggle with is Obi-Wan is old Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Yoda is old Yoda.
Yes.
So why does Anakin get to spin back? Unless I guess it was because if it was like, well, you only become a Jedi ghost when you were good. Well, he was good at the end too, so they should have stuck with the actor that played him. But yeah, of the many missteps in the enhancements to the movies, that is
air quotes
enhancements. That is a firm second place in terms of the worst ones. With of course the top one for me being gotta work in another no when he throws the Emperor down the chute.
Yes.
Why that seemed like a good idea to somebody, I don't know.
I don't know. But we're old. You can't. We saw them in their original glory in the theaters, and you just really can't mess with that. So.
No. I think beefing up Mos Eisley a little bit. I'm okay with that. Adding all the nonsense that they did to beef it up is at some point you're just doing CGI to do CGI at some point. Yeah,
the CGI Jabba in that scene. I mean, he was obviously, I don't know. I didn't really like it. It didn't add anything to me. So.
No, but it, and it was like, it was a bad idea, a poorly executed bad idea that became just a bad idea. Because he took a couple shots at these in terms of making these air quote enhancements. And the first CGI Jabba talking to Han Solo in there, oh my God, that was horrific. That was horrible. And at least the second one seemed a little more accurate to Jabba, but it was still ridiculous and dumb. Should not have done it. But I think you'll enjoy watching I Am Your Father. I found it to be a very very kind of interesting story. Get a little more of the backstory of David Prowse. It's available on Netflix for free, or for your monthly Netflix subscription. It's available. It is on Amazon Prime, but you got to rent it. It's not part of the free video on Amazon Prime. It's available on Amazon Video, but you've got to rent it from there. But so do the Netflix thing if you've got it.
Yeah. That's cool. I didn't know that existed, so I'll have to watch that because I always love an underdog. The poor guy. He did have an excellent cape flip. I mean, Vader had that down.
The cape flip and the clenched fist shake were outstanding.
They were good. They set us up for the rest of eternity on how you do a bad guy cape flip and clenched fist. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see the new Vader. We'll see what they do.
Yep.
All right. So my recommendation really doesn't have anything to do with Star Wars, except for you could possibly make your own cool Star Wars costume to wear to the theater to see Rogue One, or you might need a little more time. So my recommendation this week is in particular the YouTube channel of a husband and wife team who make props called Punished Props. And they are Bill and Britt Doran. And Bill has been a cosplayer, prop maker for a really long time. And he makes really excellent stuff. But they have a YouTube channel that will help you if you are an aspiring maker of anything like that. Their YouTube channel will give you pretty much all the information that you need and all the help that you need to try to get started. So as we were huge Face Off watchers, you'd think I learned everything I needed to know by watching Face Off, but they actually don't give you like step-by-steps. So he does. In particular, he's got, when you go to their YouTube channel, which is YouTube and it's Punished Props, they have a playlist tab on their channel that you can go to where they have categorized all of their videos up into particular playlists given on what they're doing. So what I actually found them doing, which is funny because I've actually followed him on Twitter for a really long time and I hadn't subscribed to his YouTube channel. Incidentally, his Twitter handle is @chinbeard, and because he has a chin beard. Anyway.
So where? I mean, I guess there is a neck beard. I mean, I guess so. I guess it's a fair qualification.
He has a chin beard, and that's his Twitter handle. No, he's got a perfectly normal beard. But their playlist tab is really an excellent place to get started. I was looking for information on how to properly mold something large like a mask that you would do. And while I came across a ton of YouTube videos that kind of showed it being done, they weren't real descriptive about the materials they were using or how you really go about doing things, because two-part molds are kind of scary if you ask me. And I'm not used to working with anything like that. I like to make things, but I haven't gotten into molding anything that large. I've molded small things like things that would be used like charms and small objects like that, just a few inches across. I haven't tried to mold anything with the two-part liquid silicone rubbers and resins. And so it's a little bit intimidating because all of those materials can be quite expensive. So they have pretty much the best little mini class of 13 videos in this playlist called Molding and Casting 101. And it tells you everything you need to know, goes over the different kinds of mold materials that you would need, all the way to the different kinds of casting resins that you might use and why you would want to use them, and the different materials that they come in, up to making just plain one-part molds, up to how to do two-part molds and how you prepare your molds so that it actually might work the first time, and up to preparing what you take out of the mold for painting. So it's really cool, and that's kind of where I got started watching their videos. But you'll enjoy this, Kelly, in that they have an entire huge series on 3D printing props. I really want a 3D printer. However, I don't think I'm smart enough to work the software to design something to be 3D printed, but you can buy stuff. You can buy the designs online. So
I still think we got to do the GoFundMe 3D printer for nurture and support.
Oh, the things I could make.
We'll make it a Texas-based 3D printer.
Yes, it would be cool. They even have a 30 video playlist on one of my favorite crafting materials, and that's foam. I've talked several times in the past about using foam to make things. Foam's easy. It's readily available. You can get it close to home, and it's easy to cut and shape and all that stuff. So starting out with foam armors, making big foam axes for Skyrim cosplays where it's going to be real lightweight, all that stuff is cool. But they have a huge series on how to make stuff out of foam that if you have an interest, I mean, we're past Halloween, but it's never too early to get started for the next one. Incidentally, on the molding and casting videos, he does an FAQ video where he answers some questions that people have sent in, and one of the questions was what resin would be the best one to use to make a lightsaber. So there's our Star Wars reference throwing in there. So they obviously they make a lot of Skyrim stuff. So if you like the Nordic type armors, they've got a ton of stuff based off the Skyrim game that you would love to make. I particularly love Skyrim, and I'm still working on making an armor set for my dog because my corgi really needs to have a set of Skyrim armor. So someday I'm going to get that finished. But
I bet your corgi's thrilled on that prospect.
He is not. He has had to sit through many fittings of the paper helmet trying to get it shaped to his head, and he sees that paper coming towards him, and he is just not thrilled. Not thrilled at all. However, I tried to explain to him this is much better than my making him a chainmail coat, because I really wanted to do that too, but doing all those little metal rings is really hard on your hands. and I have wrist problems, and I gave up on that before I got very far. So he should be happy I've moved on to foam.
Yeah, a studded, faux leather studded vest
Yeah.
kind of thing could work.
Absolutely. So I've also talked many times about how much I love Firefly, and they have a new video up just this week of making Malcolm Reynolds' gun.
Oh, nice.
And the blueprints for it are free on their website, and they are having a, I don't know if it's not really a contest, but if you make it and send them a 10-second video of your prop that you've made of your gun and tell them what materials you made it out of, they're going to make a compilation video when they're done and put all the little clips in of all the people that have made it. And it's a really nice, it's a really nice replica of that gun. So it's cool, but he has a big video of all the steps that he made. He made an actual wood grip for his. That's beyond my capabilities because me and power tools are maybe not the best mix. But the template's free on their website. All of their videos have links below them of the materials that they used in the video, which is incredibly helpful. Like I said, I was looking at a lot of videos before, and they half the time don't even bother to tell you what they're using, much less give you a link to it. But here's the big one, and I think Kelly's going to like this one. Today, this morning, as of this very morning, they put up a new video about metal casting.
There you go.
It is so cool. And you don't have to make your own foundry. There's a link to a melting pot that's actually meant to melt lead to make your own bullets. And they're using pewter. And amazingly enough, when I mentioned the links, there are links under the video to this pot, and you can actually buy the pot and pewter ingots on Amazon. So what doesn't Amazon carry? They're actually not expensive. I want to say the pot was like $30-something, and I don't remember how much the pewter was, but pewter's really cheap. So this video goes through melting the pewter down, and if you make a bad sample, you just throw it back in the pot and it melts again, and you can reuse the metal. But it's best if you've got a mold that's made for high temperatures. But you can do it in another silicone mold. Your mold won't hold up. But they made a Talos emblem, which is from Skyrim, which is a little small, to make like a necklace type thing out of it. And they poured one of those, and he made a ring that was really pretty detailed. It's pretty cool. It might take a little bit to get good at doing the pour because it's kind of awkward. You've got this little ladle, and you have to get the temperature right because pewter starts solidifying really quickly after you take it out of the pot, after you ladle it out of that pot. So you'd have to watch the video and then maybe get an idea of maybe you might need to get a slightly larger ladle to get it to work. But they've got that video which just came out today. And then there is another video that his wife did, Britt, I think at the end of last year, where she 3D printed the Talos emblem that they're using to make that mold. She actually made that mold from a 3D print that she designed, and she also cast it in pewter, and hers seemed to go a little bit better. It came out really, really pretty. So metal casting. So they cover everything, even metal. So you've got foam, plastic, wood, and now metal casting, and that's Punished Props on YouTube. Their website is punishedprops.com, and it has all of their information, which is where the templates are. They also have some pretty inexpensive ebooks up there that he has made, giving instructions on making. Particularly, looked at the foam armor ones since I'm looking at foam armor. And a lot of cool information. Even if you don't fancy yourself a cosplayer, there's a million things that you can make, like armor for your dog, because they just need to have armor.
There you go. Excellent. I'll have to look at that because I think I'll want to mash this up a little bit and take a look at the Firefly gun and see. Could I construct that out of foam so that I could then melt that foam with hot molten aluminum and create an aluminum version? 5 veteran deck. The aluminum ingot count continues to grow from my foundry, although I'm a little downcast that I think I dropped probably about $30 into everything that I needed to do to make my foundry when I could have just bought something. So.
Well, but I mean, if you had all that stuff laying around, it wouldn't have cost you anything.
That's true.
But the open flames scare me.
Yeah, that was.
This plugs into the wall. It's electric. There's no open flames. It works kind of like a Scentsy pot. You know, it heats that pot up. The metal's in the pot. Works great.
Yeah, I've had 3 or 4 sessions. I still have all my fingers. And I was smart enough to buy big, heavy kind of welding kind of gloves to present myself, because I do find myself occasionally sticking my hand over the top of the foundry when I shouldn't do such a thing. So. Not a good thing.
That's how I would hurt myself. I'd hurt myself badly. Most of my injuries have actually been bad burns that I've hurt myself with. So, yeah, I stay away from fire if I can.
That's not a bad call. All right. So I think probably social media recommendation, Chinbeard would be.
I actually
have
another one.
Well, so this
Look
is like.
At me.
Okay, so that's up in Mel's recommendation. Never mind.
Yeah.
So why don't you share your social media recommendation?
Okay. My social media recommendation for the first time in a really long time is at 70s, that's 70s, sci-fi art, and that's SCIFI art on Twitter. And it's just like it sounds, pictures of sometimes crazy, sometimes not. The particular flavor of science fiction themed artwork that graced comic books of the sci-fi variety back in the 70s. It had its own special feel. But one of my favorite posts that they put up in the last week is one about DEA drug patches. I didn't really know this, but apparently government agencies back in the 70s, and they say even the 80s, I believe, made their own kind of patches. When we're talking about patches that would be sewn on a shirt or a jacket, something like that, embroidered patches for different departments of different government organizations. And so this particular tweet, which I'll put in the blog post, is about the DEA. And they almost all, I think every single one of the ones they list up here have Grim Reapers on the embroidery patch. And these are DEA agents. And apparently there's divisions of ecstasy and club drugs of the DEA. They had their own patch. Let's see. The Drug Task Force had its own patch. And the Cocaine Intelligence Unit had its own patch. So, neat.
Yeah, those would be nice to kind of sew on the jacket, wouldn't they?
Yeah. They're nice Grim Reapers in very 70s color, particularly the ecstasy and club drugs. It's very clubby colored for the 70s. So check out the blog post, and I'll have it linked up there.
That's great. I'm absolutely following that as soon as we get off the air here. My recommendation this week is at Casey B. Newman. That's CASEY B as in boy, NEWMAN. Casey is a regular Walking Dead viewer, and during the live tweeting during Walking Dead shows, for those few of us that are still watching Walking Dead, that ever dwindling amount, super clever. She's really funny and just sharp, and great observations in there, and then just generally funny overall. So you go through her feed overall, it's just a very enjoyable follow. But if you happen to be watching Dead and you want to follow somebody who's like on point and kind of adding some nice little humor to the humor or dismay, her questions throughout the show, Casey's on it. She does a fantastic job. So I'm going to recommend Casey B. Newman this week for my social media recommendation.
Cool. I'll check her out, even though I stopped watching The Walking Dead a really long time ago.
It went from, gosh, I think it was like 17. It's either 14 or 17 million viewers for the premiere, which of course was cliffhung, and so you'd have the big thing. A lot of reaction to that. A lot of rage quitting after what some felt were overly gratuitous violence. Torture porn was used to describe it from time to time.
Yeah.
And it's, as The Walking Dead will do, it's had its highs and lows in terms of entertainment value. The last episode gave me hope that they might kind of be centering, but that's one episode before this Sunday is the finale for the first half season. So,
well, yeah, I've seen those news reports that viewers were dropping, and I actually hate that, believe it or not, as much as I've dissed The Walking Dead the last, I don't know, 2 years. But because I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I don't want him to go in there and have bad things happen to that show. I love him. Yeah. I just don't love The Walking Dead enough to watch.
And he is, the Negan character would be a tough character for anyone to pull off, because it's just, he's such a combination of different things. He's really doing a great job. It's just a little bit of, you gotta do what they give you. Yeah. And at some point in time, they've lingered on some stuff they really could have moved on kind of quick from. But what I did like about the last episode is you already had a guy who could do Negan, and they finally wrote Negan like Negan in the comic, where it was like, okay, so you finally had a good match there to go in. So you had the menace and the kind of quirky, I don't know if charm is the right word, but there's something about it. So
cool.
And so it's good. But because they dropped down to 10 million, a mere 10 million viewers. I mean, they're still rocking it in terms of viewership, but it was just, they had reached a high. But that happens with a lot of shows. You get some highs and lows. So hopefully they bounce back nicely. So we'll see.
Cool.
All right. Going to be nice to Matt again this week. It's been a long week. Don't have it in me to be mean to Matt. Saw Matt today. So we will hand it over to Matt, who will give you all the information on how you can connect and nurture and support through the various YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, etc. Certainly our blog. And he'll give you all that information. And look forward to chatting with everybody in a couple weeks. Thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com, or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
Nurturing and supporting Johnny.